Welcome again, and we are here for our guest lecture series by Emeritus India Career Services. I am Sugandha, and along with me, I have my colleague Shivam, who will be moderating the session today. Now, if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the Q&A box, and we'll take them up at the end of the session. Our guest for today is Mr. Soheb Tahir. He is a creative and passionate learning consultant with 12 plus years of experience in leading and managing learning and development initiatives. He is an insightful coach and a curious learner who strives to create an impact in the lives of people and organizations by synchronizing management visions with the goals of people. Zealously designs innovative programs that boost client satisfaction and people's motivation. So without any further ado, please join me in welcoming our speaker. The topic for today is confidence building. Mr. Soheb, welcome, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Do we allow everybody to get their cameras on, or?
No, that is not an option.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so let me quickly start off with my introduction. My name is Soheb Tahir. I'm part of a learning and development team at a big 3 learning consulting firm. And I'm also a master practitioner of NLP. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. To simplify that, just the way you have computer engineers working with computers, I work with humans and help them achieve the desired outcomes. I also act as a life coach to some people who have certain difficulties in achieving their personal goals at my personal space. Other than that, I really enjoy traveling. I like to write, and I am a founder of something called Dictionary of Life. Dictionary of Life is a humble attempt to help people live more meaningful lives, and it's a small page which we have on Instagram, and that's how I connect with people overall. If I just like to quickly switch on the chat. Hi, good day, good afternoon. Okay, so I have the chat box open. So at any given point in time, if you would like to interact with me, we will do so through the chat. Okay, I want you to give me a thumbs up or something which tells me that, okay, you're good to go and you're excited about it. Great, great. Lovely. Thank you, Rupali. I've got some, please go ahead. Thank you, lovely. So today's topic is building confidence. And before I jump into building confidence, and I've already shared some background of what I've done and what I'm doing right now, and Sugandha had really given you a detailed insight about my career life. I want to quickly start off by sharing my own story. And when I was a kid, I was one of those children who couldn't even read in front of his class. And my mother thought that if I was able to complete my school, that will be enough of me to be able to win in life. And honestly, I even thought the same thing, that I was not very good at studies. I thought, I don't know what is happening. And I was one of those children who was really underconfident in life. If you are, or rather, if you were a similar kind of a kid in school, give me a yes in the chat box, or just to tell me that I was not the only one. And I'm sure some of you would have had some struggles during your school times, and you believed that you were not good enough and you were not able to achieve what you thought, or your parents, or you considered yourself to be a failure. And so I want to quickly share my story. We are with you on that. Everyone is Zafar, I don't think everybody is same at school. Honestly, I think there were some students who were really great. I used to be really jealous of them, but yeah, I was not one of those kids who had a lot of expectation, or rather whose parents had a lot of expectation. We have somebody who was a topper. So yeah, but I think what really happened with me then is that once upon a time, I think I was in 11th or something, and one of my teachers came to me and said that, Soheb, I have nominated you for a school debate competition. And I thought that, I was really reluctant, obviously. And I thought that, why are you asking me? Are you serious? Are you asking me to go into the debate? And she was like, no, I'm sure you will be able to do just fine and all of that. And for the first time in my life, I felt somebody really believed in me. That gave me some confidence, made me think that, okay, maybe I think I could do it. But I knew my abilities, I knew my English, I knew it was not possible for me to go onto the stage and just perform. So I took the debate topic and I came to my mother and I said, listen, this is the topic of the debate. Can you just write a debate for me so that I can memorize it and go onto the stage and just read the paper out? She was like, no, it's your debate, you should do it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, listen, these are two things which are going to happen. Either I will go or I will not go. If you write the debate, maybe I will. If you don't, I will not, for sure. So she ended up writing the debate. I mugged it up. I went to the school. And it was really romantic weather that day. It was drizzling. It was really nice. And you know how teenage is. So I happened to meet this girl who was from another school, top of her class, seasoned debater, and sometimes teenage boy being a teenage boy, I flaunted off my skills of being able to debate and I don't know whatnot. And I was like, oh, debates are pretty easy for me. And I do this all the time and blah, 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 blah. Ended up getting the number of the girl, was very happy, but now had the pressure to really absolutely go onto the stage and perform. I went onto the stage and I kid you not, I shivered to death. I was holding the podium and I didn't look up. I just read the paper, which was right in front of me. I read that paper and I walked out victorious in my own eyes because I read this time in front of 200 people versus I could not even do so in my own class where everybody just knew me and probably it was comparatively easy. I came out victorious, read in front of 200 people, got the number. And then by the time I was very happy that day, I was super happy. Next day, I go to the school and I still remember my teacher called me up and said that, so what was that? And I was like, what was what? I mean, I really performed and did the debate like you expected me to. And she was like, no, you were a complete disgrace to the school. You don't read in debates. You have to look at to the audience and talk to them and then put in your points. And honestly, after everything, after she said that I was a disgrace to the school, I didn't really pay any attention to anything else. It was like that shattering moment for me. And I went back home and I cried my heart out. And I felt like a complete failure. And I felt that, why is it that I cannot do anything well enough? And it was also the day when I got to know that my teacher did not really had the trust on me that I will go and perform, but rather there was one, topper of the school who denied going into the debate because of some reason, and my teacher had to fill in someone to really fill that particular seat on behalf of the school. So the first time anybody believed in me was not actually believe in me, but rather circumstantial or just I was a substitute for someone. That broke me and brought me down to a point where I thought that I'm not good at anything. And that is when, the light dawned at me and I felt that, maybe all did not go that bad. I mean, at the end of the day, I am in conversation with this wonderful girl, which was obviously cherry on the cake. But more than that, I spoke in front of 200 people. And that is something which I've never done. That is something which I never thought that I will do ever in my life. And that the statement that I was a disgrace to the school really gave me that knockout punch, which made me really angry with everything which was happening in life. And that's when I promised myself that everything which scares me, I will do it. I will not think about it. I will fail at it and I will not worry about it and I will go on it. I then started participating in every speaking competition in the school, gradually improving, then suddenly won the best speaker in the school award, and gradually went up to a point where I won Delhi inter-university debates, then started to get into a point where I started participating in everything. I became head of dramatics in my college. Then I became head of history association. Then I did a lot of things of those kinds. And it was completely just the anger of being called as a failure by somebody who was outside. And I really did prepare myself a lot for that particular thing. And then gradually, all of those experiences accumulated together made me a person who quite literally earns his money out of conversations with people and working with people and speaking in front of others. So I've been doing behavioral trainings for the last 12 years, and I've had thousands of people who I've interacted with or worked with and helped them achieve the desired outcomes. I wanted to share this quick story with you, and with an element that, that a lot of times when you believe that you're not good at something, you're right. When everybody else says that you're not good at something, maybe they're also right. But when you say that you are not good at it, you're definitely right about it. So the first thing which you need to do differently about anything is to understand what is your own narrative about it. What is your own story of the previous experiences which you have had. Let's talk about how exactly do we build anything. And I shared my story, I want to talk about that, how I actually built something for myself. But before I go into that direction, I want to ask you this question, and probably you can respond into the chat and quickly give me some answers. How do we build our bodies? What are some of the steps which we take to build our bodies when we go to the gym? Or how do we build buildings? By practice, okay, by exercising, okay. Discipline and consistency, plan, dedication, diet, motivation, one act at a time. Beautiful. Breakup, planning, belief, consistency, focus, focus, consistency. Great. Okay, let me simplify this to you. Now, what really happens is that you go to the gym on the first day and your body aches the next day because your body is not habitual to it. You go to the gym the next day, your body still aches. You go to the gym on the third day, your body still aches. You go to the gym on the fourth day, gradually the body aches a little lesser and a little lesser and a little lesser. Now, what has really happened is that your brain has started to understand that you're using your body in a different manner, which you were not using earlier. Hence, it needs to start to prepare itself so that it now provides for the energy which you need for the amount of physical exercises which you're doing now. That's how you build body. How you build a building. You start by digging in first. You go and break the ground and then clean out everything, put a structure to it, and then brick by brick, you build the building which is there. How do you build a life? Exactly the same way. If you could imagine how your parents really brought you up, or if any one of you have kids in this session, you would probably know this better. A child is completely dependent on their surroundings in the beginning, gradually starts to move, starts to roll, starts to, crawl, then starts to stand, then starts to walk, then starts to run, and then gradually all of these things happen. I'm just using one skill, which is walking, in this scenario to help you understand that how do we build our ability or build the strength in our legs to be able to perform any tasks. So one thing which is common all across of these three elements, which is commonly around us, is something which needs to be built or something which needs to be done. It always has to be done in smaller steps. It cannot be done everything at once. A life cannot be built at once. A building cannot be built at once. A body cannot be built at once. So the problem, one of the things which we struggle a lot with is when we are working with people or when we are working on ourselves, because of the social media and because of the kind of interaction which we have with the social media, be it Instagram, be it YouTube today, be it anything, we have lost the patience. Everything is very quick today. You want something, you can order it online. It will be there in the next 30 minutes or 15 minutes for that matter nowadays. Everything is very quickly there. ChatGPT, you want something, you can just type in your query and everything is available to you. You don't have to really put in a lot of efforts anymore in today's life. what that has done is that it has programmed our mind to seek quick results. The reality of life is you cannot get anything which is worthwhile quickly. That's how it is. Anything which is worthwhile, anything which is, valuable, or something which you will use for a elongated period of time cannot be done very quickly. You know that, everybody knows it, but we still want it. So now how do we build ourselves? Why confidence, for that matter, is really important. Confidence, as per the research, it says that, your career success is largely dependent on how confident you are. And using my own example and my own story, I can tell this to you with certainty. I think if I've never built on my confidence, I think I would have never done anything of my life. And the reason I was able to do so is because I created one mentality, which was like, irrespective of whatever is happening in my life, whatever is fearful, I will do it. Be it climbing the mountains, be it writing something, be it speaking in front of people, be it painting, be it cooking, be it anything. I've done it all because I thought that if I put myself to it, if I act on it, I will be able to do it. And obviously I was really bad at it in the beginning. I gradually became a little okay with it, and then gradually became better at it, and then gradually became somebody who could really do it well enough. And now I am in a situation, or I strongly believe that there is nothing in this world that I cannot do. There are things which in this world which I don't like to do. That's completely all right. There are things in the world which I like to do or I do not like to do, but there's nothing in this world which I cannot do. Now, there's a difference here. The difference is that what do you believe in your own capability to learn? I think learning has become it was a really key ingredient in every matter, which is that I was sure that I could, if I spend my time at something, I will be able to learn. Research shows that individuals who appeared more confident gain more social status. People who, wore nice clothes, wore nice colognes, they automatically became more attractive in the picture, which technically does not make sense. If I'm wearing a good perfume, you can't see it or you can't smell it right now, but does it impact my own senses? Because when I smell good to myself and I look at the people, I feel more confident going in front of others. And so you need to understand that what is it that can work for you and what is it that will give you more confidence. I want to give you a quick example on this one. I've deliberately put the screen blank so that you can pay more attention to what I'm going to say next. Can you give me a yes in the chat box if you can recall a time when there was a wedding in your family, a close relative or a brother or sister or anybody, or for that matter, it was your wedding, and you can recall how that entire cycle was. Give me a quick yes if you can recall that there was a wedding. Yes, great. Lovely. So now this is something which would have happened in your in the time during the wedding. Now, before the wedding, you probably would have thought, okay, what am I going to wear during the wedding? And then you probably designed an attire in your mind. Some of you would have thought, maybe I want to wear a sherwani, or I want to wear a tuxedo, or I want to wear a dress, or I want to wear a lehenga, or anything. And when you decided that, you decided, okay, this is how I'm going to look. And when you walked out of your house to go to the wedding, got out of the car, got into the wedding, if you can now go back in that memory, can you tell me, was your walk different from how you usually walk? Was your personality a little different from what it usually is? Everybody's saying yes. Everybody's saying yes, of course, yes, of course. Some of you saying no. Let me ask you this. What was different? And Madhur, if you're saying no, if any one of you can quickly raise their hand, and if we can give you speaking rights, it will be lovely. 3 participants have already raised their hand. Yes. Okay, one person has raised hand. Yes, could please, if you don't mind, please unmute yourself and please. Shivani, yeah, we have Bhaskar Joshi. Sugandha, Shivam, if you can give them unmuting rights, please.
Yeah, they can unmute
Unmute.
themselves.
Yes, please unmute yourselves, please. Shivani, Bhaskar, Deepak, Dipali. Dipali, yes, we can hear you now. Please stop.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Sarthak. We can hear you, please.
Yeah. So what I observed, this happened couple of times with me. We feel like we are more accepted. We feel like we are self-accepted more as compared to, accepted by the society. Somehow what we say will make more sense in previous case. So these kind of thoughts kind of dominate when, we see, and yeah, definitely that increases the
So what do
self-worth.
you understand by it? Let me ask you this. What do you understand by it? Now that you go back in that memory and you believe, okay, there was something different about me. And of course, there was element of self-acceptance. There was an element of social acceptance. But let me ask you a straight question. What was the story in your head during that time?
That it's ourself, it's our mind who was making these scenarios, who was
नहीं,
putting.
okay, let me put this question differently. जब आप उस शादी में जा रहे थे, is everybody comfortable with Hindi? Give me a quick yes if you are okay. Yeah, okay. So जब आप उस शादी में जा रहे थे, तो at that point in time, what was going on in your head which gave you that straight walk, that gave you an element of confidence, that it gave you an element of smile and that element of swagger, if I were to put it that way? What did you tell yourself which gave you that element of swagger? Anyone else also can, yeah.
That I am properly dressed up and
you look good, right? You look
yeah.
good to yourself. So most importantly, when you look good to yourself, you smell good to yourself, you come across as somebody who is more attracted or attractive by the world around. You feel more accepted. And when you feel more accepted, you naturally tend to go across and you can have a conversation with anybody else. Thank you so much, Sarthak. Anybody else who would like to quickly unmute themselves and share perspective?
It, but not always. Like at least dressing, like it need not to be like very formal dressing or kind of you need to wear like a formal dress to feel confident. You may feel confident in not wearing that, like wearing simple jeans and t-shirt or shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So the
So,
point I'm trying to drive here, Madhu, thank you so much for bringing that out. The point I'm trying to drive home here is not that when you wear sherwani or you wear formal clothes or you go to a formal occasion is only when you can drive confidence. The idea is, what is your self-projection? What is your story inside of your own head when you look at the mirror?
yeah,
When
so
you look at,
that can be independent of your dress as well.
can be,
Because like
yes,
if you have,
absolutely.
if
So
you are
not
confident about yourself, your thought process, and then you can carry that confidence regardless of what you're wearing also.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Madhur. You're absolutely right. But okay, there are two aspects to it. One, when you wear good clothes, when you look good to yourself, the key ingredient here is when you look good to yourself. Now, if you look good to yourself in t-shirt and boxer, and you feel comfortable about your own being, and you don't care too much about what others, even if they laugh at you, you don't care, and you still have a smile on your face and you can walk around in the mall, bang on, you're still confident. It does not matter. But when you are dressed to the occasion, and I'm using the word dress to the occasion, it makes you more comfortable because it brings down the anxiety of you being judged by the rest of the world. The idea is that how is it that you control your anxiety levels? If it does not matter to you, it's absolutely all right. But for most of us, it matters to us what others think. And whether we like it or not, we are able to control this basis how we are perceived by the rest of the world. So if we are perceived by the rest of the world, let me give you an example. Right now, if I would have come into this session, with my hair completely, haywire, and maybe my beard not nicely trimmed. The first impression which I would have created in this room would have been, okay, who is this guy? I'm like, or is he really serious about what he's doing? Does he even know what he's talking about? I'm not saying my competency would have been any different in terms of talking to all of you, but the idea is that when you look at somebody, you create a perception, and sometimes you can control the perception which others can have of you by managing something which is completely external to the world. And at the same time, it creates a significant amount of impact of how you look at your own self, because when you look at yourself and you feel great, the world sees you in a similar way. Let me give you an example. If you think you are good looking, the world will think that. If you think that you're not good looking, the world will always find something which will further prove your own belief system of the fact that you're probably not as good looking as you thought it would be. Let me ask you this. How many of you know what neuroplasticity is? Prashant, we say that we don't judge people by their looks, but okay. But the idea is that it's not about looks here. I'm just trying to give you a fundamental understanding. जैसा आप अपने आप को देखते हो, वैसे ही दुनिया आपको दिखती है. If you tend to look at yourself in a certain manner, the world around you will start to see you in a very similar way. Speaking of neuroplasticity, like some of you have said, is nothing but is the fact that our brain changes every minute. Your brain gathers good 4 to 5 million of information every second. Out of that information, it deletes the largest part of it because it is not relevant. For example, if I were to ask you, you spent 14 years or 20 years or 12 years, depending on if you change any school, but you spent 14 years in your school, how many windows are there in your school? You probably will say, so if nobody would remember that. But why not? You spent 14 years, every day you went to that school. You don't remember this? And you'll be like, no, I don't, because your brain never paid attention to it. It gathered that information, found it completely irrelevant to what you were supposed to do at school, deleted that information, and it was never required. Then it distorts the information. It distorts the information, or it then utilizes the information. But neuroplasticity is nothing but how your brain changes basis the actions, basis the thoughts, and basis the behavior you have in the world when you interact with it. Which means, to simplify this, which means when you when you act on certain things, when you behave in a certain manner, when you think in a certain manner, in very similar way, how you end up watching the same type of reels throughout. The entire artificial intelligence is based on the fact it serves the need of your brain of seeking a similar kind of information or similar pattern of information, because that's what you will end up liking. That's how the entire AI or the algorithm of social media is built on. The idea here is that you have the power to change your brain. You practically can change your brain. Your brain is changing. Now the choice is with you, whether it changes by design, which is designed by you, or it can change by default, which is automatically it is changing, whether you like it or you don't. Now, let me quickly share a video with all of you, and let me know when I can share my screen again. This is a very simple video, which is there on YouTube. I'm going to start sharing my screen all over again, just to showcase. Okay. Give me a thumbs up in the chat box if you can also hear the video.
If you are running a business where you are the one who's managing operations, sales, marketing,
when faced with a big challenge where potential failure seems to lurk at every corner, maybe you've heard this advice before. Be more confident. And most likely, this is what you think when you hear it. If only it were that simple. But what is confidence? Take the belief that you are valuable, worthwhile, and capable. also known as self-esteem. Add in the optimism that comes when you are certain of your abilities, and then empowered by these, act courageously to face a challenge head-on. This is confidence. It turns thoughts into action. So where does confidence even come from? There are several factors that impact confidence. 1, what you're born with, such as your genes, which will impact things like the balance of neurochemicals in your brain. 2, how you're treated. This includes the social pressures of your environment. And 3, the part you have control over, the choices you make, the risks you take, and how you think about and respond to challenges and setbacks. It isn't possible to completely untangle these 3 factors, but the personal choices we make certainly play a major role in confidence development. So, by keeping in mind a few practical tips, we do actually have the power to cultivate our own confidence. Tip 1, a quick fix. There are a few tricks that can give you an immediate confidence boost in the short term. Picture your success when you're beginning a difficult task. Something as simple as listening to music with deep bass. It can promote feelings of power. You can even strike a powerful pose or give yourself a pep talk. Tip 2, believe in your ability to improve. If you're looking for a long-term change, consider the way you think about your abilities and talents. Do you think they are fixed at birth, or that they can be developed, like a muscle? These beliefs matter because they can influence how you act when you're faced with setbacks. If you have a fixed mindset, meaning that you think your talents are locked in place, you might give up, assuming you've discovered something you're not very good at. But if you have a growth mindset and think your abilities can improve, a challenge is an opportunity to learn and grow. Neuroscience supports the growth mindset. The connections in your brain do get stronger and grow with study and practice. It also turns out, on average, people who have a growth mindset are more successful, getting better grades, and doing better in the face of challenges. Tip 3, practice failure. Face it, you're going to fail sometimes. Everyone does. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 different publishers before one picked up Harry Potter. The Wright brothers built on history's failed attempts at flight, including some of their own, before designing a successful airplane. Studies show that those who fail regularly and keep trying anyway are better equipped to respond to challenges and setbacks in a constructive way. They learn how to try different strategies, ask others for advice, and persevere. So, think of a challenge you want to take on. Realize it's not going to be easy. Accept that you'll make mistakes, and be kind to yourself when you do. Give yourself a pep talk, stand up, and go for it. The excitement you'll feel, knowing that whatever the result, you'll have gained greater knowledge and understanding. This is confidence.
Okay, so there were some tips which were there in the video. I'm going to also talk about them a little deeper. When we speak about confidence, it's about being able to think of doing things which is more in our control. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with this concept of circle of concern and circle of influence, but I'm just quickly going to help you understand. Now, what you see on the screen right now is a lot like an egg, if you were to put it that way. What you see is a lighter orange part is the white, egg white, if you like half fry egg, is like white, which is everything which you can only think about. This is a circle of concerns. You can only think about these things. You can only worry about them. There's a lot of corruption in the world. There's this happening. There's that happening. There's so much wrong in the world. And my boss is not that great. My colleague is like this. My partner is such as this. I'm not able to do this, blah, blah, blah. And there's always going to be plenty of things which will be in your circle of concern. And for me, in my story, largely, the fact that, I was not given opportunities, I'm not able to, the world is looking at me in a certain way, blah, blah, blah. All of those were circle of concerns. What you see in the deep center, which is circle of control. Circle of control largely is which you can directly control, which means if I have to move my hand, this is circle of control, I can move my hand right now. Or if I were to really go ahead and perform a certain task, and I know that particular task, which is a simple example of this is walking, and I know how to walk, it is completely in my control, I can do so. But circle of influence is when you can do something indirectly about it. The concerns you can do something about. And you may not have complete control over it, but you can still do something about those things. And these are circle of concern, influence. Most of us, when we are not good at something, we are only stuck in the circle of concerns, which means we keep telling ourselves how you will not be able to perform a task and why will this not work for you. And that is because of which we do not end up taking actions. What we had to do simply is to simply act, which is to put everything in circle of control and circle of influence, which means that we can do something about it when we are trying our hands at it. How do you differentiate between confidence and courage? Confidence is the belief in your own self to be able to perform a task. Courage is something which you tell yourself despite of you being fearful of it. Courage is that, okay, I'm going to do it, and I know that I might fail at it. That is courage. And I'll probably go bad at it. When this may not work, jumping off a cliff is what requires courage, because you know that there's a high possibility of you failing. Confidence is you know how to jump off the cliff, and you will be able to do it. That's the key difference between these two. Ganpati said courage is overcoming fear. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to quickly help you understand that how do you turn everything around, and I'm going to share a quick model with you. This model you will not find on Google or anything, but this is something which works. I have practically worked on these things, and I can guarantee if you apply this, you can do anything and everything in your life which you would want to. Now, if I were to ask you, can you just write down any skill which you believe to be good at? Be it cycling, be it cricket, football, anything which you believe that you're good at, computer programming, anything which you believe that you're good at. In the chat box, very quickly write that particular skill. Sleeping, leadership and management. Okay, dancing, skating, cricket, fashion, basketball, communication. Great, lovely. Let's take a pause. Out of grade of 1 to 10, how much is your potential? Okay, let's take a pause here. Okay, so now if I were to ask you that if you were to rate your potential in that particular skill, swimming, basketball, analytical skills, leadership, or anything, on a rate of 1 to 10, how much would you rate? 10 on 10, 10, 8, 9, 8, 9. No, lovely, lovely, great. Now, basis the potential which you have, you will take actions, which means that basis the actions, the number of times you will take action out of 10 is also 8 or 9 or 7 or 6, basis your potential. Basis the amount of times you will take actions, you will get results, obviously, because every action will lead you a result. And when that result comes out, sometimes it will be positive, sometimes it will be negative, but because of the number of times you have done it, and because of the pattern which is there in your head is set, the results would largely be positive. And because the results will be positive, automatically it will further reinforce your belief system that you are good at good at swimming. So taking swimming as an example, my potential of swimming is, let's say, 8 out of 10 times I will act on it. 8 out of the 8 results of me acting on it, 6 to 7 times my results will be positive because I know how to do it. And because I know how I've been getting positive results, my belief of the fact that I'm a good swimmer will further strengthen. Does this make sense? Give me a quick yes. Lovely, thank you. Let's take a pause. Now think about it like this. Let's think about things which we are not so good at. Can you write the skills which you believe that you're not good at? coding, negotiation, programming, coding, saying no, public speaking, swimming, digital marketing, singing. Okay, let's take singing as an example, or public speaking for that matter. I think it's common for a lot of us. Now imagine how much would you rate your potential in this particular skill out of 1 to 10? 5, 2, 2, 4, 5, 3. Okay. Now you would obviously because you believe your potential is significantly less, or let's say 3 as a number. So because your potential is 3, out of the 10 opportunities you will be given to sing in front of the crowd, or speak in front of the crowd, or do sales, or say no to someone, you will only act 3 times out of the 10 situations. Out of the 3 times when you act, the results would largely be a little more on the negative side, because you do not have a lot of hands-on practice with that particular skill. So your results, let's say, is out of the 3 times you act, 1 time it was positive, 1 time it was negative, and 1 time it was neutral. Let's put it that way. Your brain will tell yourself that, hey, listen, the first time I was able to do it, it was probably beginner's luck, or it was just something which happened by a fluke. But if you look at the failure, obviously I can't do it, and it was almost neutral the next time, which means that I am not good at it. So the belief system will further reinforce the fact that you're not so good at it. Hence, your potential will also decrease. Your potential to act on it will decrease, because you don't act on it, your results will never come out, and your further belief system will remain as is. So the simplest way to really understand what happens, or you want to gain a new skill, is to simply act on it. When you act on it, you will probably fail, or you will probably, do well at it. When you fail, you will realize what are some of the things which you did not do right. And that is when the learning happens. That is when you learn from the things which you did not do so well, which gave you a certain results, and you change and you fix that and you try again. And that is what will yield you a different result. And that is what will change your belief system. And that is what will change your potential. And that is what will change your ability to act on it. So for example, taking my examples from the story, my potential was significantly low to start off with in terms of debates. I never acted on it. It was probably the first time I was acting on it. My result was mixed, but significantly bad. If I now look back at it, my belief system further got reinforced that I can't do it. But then at the same time, there was another perspective to it. The result was mixed, like I said, because at that point in time, the fact that I was able to speak in front of 200 people, that itself meant that it was positive. So my belief system to an extent changed, and I thought that maybe I have potential. So maybe from my potential being at 1 out of 10, it moved from 1 to 2. So which means that the next time I was given an opportunity, I was more inclined towards action rather than pushing myself back and saying, hey, it's not your cup of tea. So I pushed myself for action. I got a better result. And when I got a better result, it further gave a boost to my belief system. My belief system further said, hey, if you do keep doing this, you're getting better at it. So maybe you have good potential in it. And I'll be honest with you, today, I believe my potential is really great, because if I put my hand to it and I will act on it, every time you give me an opportunity to speak in front of people or talk to, I don't shy away from it. I don't say I won't do it. 10 out of 10 times, I will say, yeah, sure, why not? I will do it, because I know that I will be able to get good results, because I know my belief system is strong enough to tell me that I will be able to get them. You apply this particular cycle, and it is a complete cycle, honestly, because everything is interrelated. I'm going to take a pause. I see some really long chats. It's very difficult for me to read everything, but if anybody would like to share their perspective on this, please ask for speaking rights and we can have a conversation on it. Arvind has raised his hand. Shivam, if you could share, give Arvind speaking rights. Arvind, you can start talking.
Thanks, Soheb, thanks, Soheb, to giving an opportunity to speak. Basically, it was nice hearing you talking about how we can drive our confidence. But my understanding is a bit different. When you talked about different factors that can create a confidence in us, it only focused mostly on the physical factor. Whereas we as a human, we are driven by 4 elements which creates our personality. One, the basic, which is physical. Then second, the psychological, which actually is driven by our emotions. Third is our intellectual, that is the ability of our taking decisions. And then fourth is spiritual, that whenever there is problem, issue, then you have a peaceful mind, because you might have a lot of confidence, but if you go through a situation which is not very certain, you might lose your confidence. And at that time, to have peace is very important. So when we try to create a permanent confidence level in us as an individual, we need to have a balance of all these 4 elements to create a balanced personality. And then only we can talk about confidence, because we have to understand that what drives the confidence. Our personality is something that drives the confidence. And in order to have that confidence permanent all the time, not temporary, because I can be very well dressed today. But let's say if I am coming here and I am lying to the people, but I am very well dressed, will I be confident? I will not be confident, because somewhere I will have an emotional negativity that I am lying. So this is the reason why I'm saying that we have to
I agree
all
with
the
you.
factors.
I partly agree with you, Arvind. Thank you so much for bringing this out. And you're absolutely right. And I would not say that what you said is wrong. But I think I used the example of being well dressed as just an example. It never meant that that's the only thing which will give you confidence. If you want to understand what is that one thing which will give you confidence, is simply repetition. If there is one thing which I want you to take back from this session, is repetition is what gives you confidence. If I ask you this question, Arvind, that how confident are you to walk today? You will be like, so what kind of question is this? I can 100% walk. I know how to walk. But if you were to think about this, God forbid, because of some reasons, you're bedridden for a month or a year, and I ask you the same question, that Arvind, how confident are you to walk? You'll be like, Soheb, I'm not sure, because I haven't walked in a while, and I'm not sure if my legs can take that strength. Confidence is nothing but the the belief you have in your own ability, as simply put, in every situation. Okay. Now, if you repeat a certain action, you will be able to perform. The problem is that before we act, our brain tells us a story, and that story sometimes is positive, sometimes is negative. If it is positive, the fact that you will, if it is positive, you are more likely to act on it. If it is negative, then you are less likely to act on it. Now, speaking about physical, mental, and spiritual, and the idea is simple here is that you can look at it from any school of life. You can look at it from the pointers which you had given. You're absolutely right. I would not take that away from you. But the idea is that how do we simplify this entire gimmick about being confident? Being confident is nothing but what is the story which you tell yourself? If you tell yourself the right story, you will end up doing something about it. If you then don't tell yourself the right story, you will not be. Like you said that, there was an element where you said that if you are stressed in a certain situation, your confidence will go for a toss. Absolutely. Why? Because your story inside of your head changed. Suddenly you started thinking, okay, maybe I'm not good at it. Maybe, how do I handle this? I don't know what to do in this situation, because it was the first time you were dealing with it. So the idea is simple. What you do repetitively, you get results out of it, change your belief system of it, and will ultimately impact how much you further are inclined to move in that particular story. How do we force your brain to tell the right story? Raghavendra, you cannot. You cannot control your emotions to after a point. Emotions have a role to play. You need to understand the story. Don't tell yourself the right story. Don't tell yourself that I need to tell myself a positive story every single time. The negative story has its worth. Just give me a second. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. So your stories, be it negative, be it positive, they have a role to play in. If you tell yourself a negative story, it prepares you for what is coming next, or rather what is coming worse for you, what can go wrong, and your brain prepares for it. If you tell yourself a positive story, it will tell you what is the best possible situation which will come out of it. And the reality is that you need to understand both.
So if I can add one line,
Yes, please.
I would say, if I want to, drive a permanent confidence in myself, the first step that I would do is I would like to understand and know myself, which is known as adhyatma. Once I know myself, then the second step is to create a belief. Unless and until you know yourself.
I'm sorry,
you
I'm
don't
cutting
create a
you here.
belief.
I'm sorry, I'm cutting you. And the reason I'm cutting you, Arvind, is understanding yourself is a very dynamic thing. You are like I spoke about neuroplasticity. You are X today and you will be X plus 1 tomorrow. What that plus 1 will be like is something which you can explore. But if you tell yourself, okay, I am this, I am telling this to you, there will be other things which you will not be. So don't put yourself into a definition really, where you tell yourself that I need to understand. Yes, obviously you need to understand what your current self is, but have the understanding that you can evolve because you're continuously evolving.
But excuse me, this is not what I am saying. This is what, the major global schools and their teachings, they actually say. And apart from that, even if you go through our Vedantic scriptures, they also say the same thing that I actually told. That,
Arvind, like I said, I'm sorry, I don't want to get into a debate, but what I'm trying to simply say here is that we are evolving. And of course, we have different school of thoughts on every single thing. But the idea here is that if you do not keep yourself definitive, in longer run, you have a better control over yourself because you believe you can change. And because we always change. So that's how it is.
But so if you do not know yourself, how do you know what do you need?
Like I said, you can only understand your current self. So I'm not denying what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, but it is partly there. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, knowing yourself is not easy. I think, Ankit, it's not about just knowing yourself. I think it's just simply understanding your actions, your thoughts, and what goes around. Okay, do we have more questions? Is there anybody else who would like to ask for speaking rights and have a quick conversation about this?
So I think Sanjeev, Sanjeev.
Yes. Sanjay, please go on.
Deepali Deepali, both are unmuted.
Sir, I want to say that if this is the situation that repetitive action we are taking, but there is a grade also. First time I cannot get success, but the second time the success will be improved definitely. So repetitive action is very necessary, I think. Am I audible?
You are, yeah. What is your question, Deepali?
My question is this, that if we are taking repetitive actions and there is a thing that first time I'm not successful, that second time I'm not successful, and the third time I get little bit success. So how can I improve this success more?
Yeah, okay, very good question. So between action and results, you will have, and when you observe, when you go back to your actions, you will realize there were certain things which you were supposed to do, which you did not do, which means that there was a scope of learning. And when you learn and you apply those learning, in the next time you act on it, you will definitely get better results. If you continuously do the same thing in the same manner, you will always get the same results.
So I have to find out that which things I have to do.
What is it that you need to do differently to get different results? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Raghavendra.
Thanks. Yeah. One part of the answer I just received when you were having the discussion with one of my colleagues is yes. My question was how to become a confident, and as you mentioned, we won't be able to change the story what we are going to tell ourselves because it's some emotional part is also involved. So wanted to know that how I can change my story is it because if we do multiple repetition, then automatically my story, which I'm telling to myself, will change into the positive direction, or there is a other
Okay.
element I have to consider to make sure my emotional, there is a random thought, or it's like which is I'm not in control, but I want to control or I want to change it for my betterment. Then some guidance.
Raghavendra, okay, let me give you a simple idea of it. There is always positive and negative, right? Which means that sometimes when you want to understand something, it will be positive or it will be negative. The story
Correct.
will always be positive or negative, correct?
Right.
What you have to do is that when you are thinking in terms, when you are given a story which your mind is creating, you will have to ask yourself, okay, this is the one side of the story. What is the other side of the story? And when you understand both sides of the stories, when you understand the positive and you understand the negative, is when you choose what is it that will work for you. What do I need to tell myself which will work for me? What is it something which will enable me to do more rather than disable me to act on certain things? And that is when you pick and choose and create your own narrative, and that is what will change the kind of actions you will be able to do.
Right. Asking the right question in the particular situation that time.
Asking the right questions and being able to look at both sides of the story, both perspectives of it.
Correct. Thanks.
Negative is equally important as positive is.
Thanks. It works. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Yes. Do we have anyone else who have any questions? I think probably the last one. Yes, Jayanta.
Yeah.
Yes, my question is that if you are undergoing negativity and failure, so how you can change yourself to become confident, to look confident?
I'm sorry, once again.
If you are going through negativity or failure, so how you can look confident in this situation?
Thank you for asking that question. That's exactly what I have on the screen right now. So first is to educate yourself, to understand what is going on, to be more aware of the situation. Then finding the easiest thing which you can act on it, being short-sighted about it, which means that be focused on what is the next possible thing which I can do. And then observe and learn out of the results which we have. So in an immediate situation where you need to be acting more, there's a simple saying which is fake it till you make it. Fake it. Fake what the ideal situation you should be acting like, and then act like it. Okay, great. I think we are almost through with the time. The only last thing which I would like to share with all of you is that your mind is the only limit. And that is why I said that, while it is important for you to understand yourself, don't limit yourself, because when we understand, we also create boundaries around it. Let it be dynamic, let it be fluid, because all of us are like that. Great. So on that note, thank you so much. If you would like to connect with me, you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well as Dictionary of Life on Instagram. So feel free to do that. I hope this was worthwhile your time. Thank you so much, and you take care of yourselves.
Thank you so much, Soheb. This was a very enlightening session. I think everyone enjoyed a lot. People took time out of their schedule on a Wednesday afternoon. And we got such a good attendance. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you so much for taking time out for this session. And so we really hope we can do something like this again, which would benefit all of our learners.
Sure, why not, Chap? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Everyone, have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Soheb. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.